I'd like to thank the other groups for their cooperation, particularly some of the shadows. I believe that working together we've achieved a good report. I've looked in this report obviously at the transposition and implementation of the current directives, in other words the Employment Directive and the Race Directive. I've concentrated more of course on the Employment Directive because race was covered by civil liberties in a very good report last year. Transposition and implementation is patchy across the EU, especially with the Employment Directive, although there are problems, of course, with the Race Directive as well. There's also a lack of information given to citizens about possible remedies in case of discrimination. The Commission, Member States, trade unions, as well as governmental and non-governmental stakeholders must do all in their power to improve awareness of rights under these directives, and Member States must adequately resource independent bodies to promote equality and encourage Member States to ensure the remit of those bodies covers all forms of discrimination. Too often the individual victim of discrimination are the ones who are left to challenge discrimination on their own without the backup of advocacy support, or indeed the legal wherewithal to take legal proceedings, and that has to change. Member States should ensure that victims of discrimination are automatically assured and assisted in legal proceedings. And although I welcome the statistics that the Commission have already gathered on discrimination, I believe we need more data and a common standard for collecting that data. I also welcome the Commission's interest in multiple discrimination, and that's one of the reasons that I called for in my report for comprehensive anti-discrimination legislation. We must get away from the piecemeal approach. There can be no hierarchy of discrimination. A new directive must cover discrimination on access to goods and services on all grounds that have not been covered as yet under Article 13 legislation. It should cover disability, age, religion or belief, and sexual orientation. Race and gender are already covered, as is employment. I regret that although Commissioner Spiedler has committed himself to this, and the Commission made the commitment to a horizontal directive in its work programme for 2008, and I commend Commissioner Spiedler particularly for this, there appears to be some backtracking on this within the Commission. Can the Commission tell us what stage the impact assessments are at, what they cover, and when they will be released? As I understand, they are now saying that they might only bring forward legislation on disability and nothing else. That is not acceptable, hence our amendment. I have campaigned for years for Article 13 legislation on grounds of disability and on grounds of age, but I am now convinced that we mustn't leave anyone behind. Anti-discrimination and human rights are the basis of the European Union, and every EU citizen must be treated equally. I urge you to vote for my report, and more importantly, for a comprehensive directive on anti-discrimination, so we can give a signal to those in the Commission who don't agree with this, and the Member States, that we are committed as a Parliament at least to ending discrimination once and for all, and end the ridiculous idea that it is all right to discriminate against any one section of our society.